Welcome back to Ina Bear Farm. We are looking right now at one of my favorite, most useful food forest plants, the pigeon pea. And I'm going to show you a few different ways that I use it and just the different benefits to it. If you're in the tropics or possibly the subtropics and you are growing a food forest, this is just a must-have, and it's probably familiar to those of you that are in those situations, but just to make sure that you're getting the most out of it and utilizing it, I just thought I'd do this little feature video, and then if you've not heard of it or you're not using it, get right on it. So pigeon pea is a legume. It therefore is a nitrogen fixer, converts nitrogen. The bacteria around the root nodules convert nitrogen from the air into usable nitrogen in the soil for plants. It does grow edible pods. We'll talk more about those in a moment. Here you can see the nice flowers that the bees and pollinators enjoy. And this first use here, let's kind of sneak around to this side, I planted a little bit of a hedge to create some shade. This is winter time, so I could create some fast shade by putting these on the south side of a fragile little mangosteen that is down here. And so it's doing quite well, being protected by this hedge. And I planted these from seed about 3 months ago, and so you can see they're taller than I am, and I'm 6 feet tall. So really fast grower. You can definitely put them anywhere where you want to just get some vegetation up really quick. You can kind of see it here paired up with the perennial peanut ground cover, which is also a nitrogen fixer. And as I walk around, you can kind of just see it planted around just to kind of break things up a little bit. I've got a palm here, mango, cassava. I thought, let's just throw a pigeon pea in here. Another pigeon pea here. I sometimes will mix it with tithonia. So here you can see the tithonia on the left, pigeon pea on the right. So we kind of have the dual benefit of fast growing biomass, mulch producing from the tithonia, as well as the nitrogen fixing from the pigeon pea. And so I imagine, at least to some degree, some of this nitrogen uptaken by the tithonia. Then we cut that tithonia down, use it as mulch. Now let me show you one of my other similar but favorite uses for pigeon pea. So we're here in our agroforestry system. It's a relatively new system, and the way we're using pigeon pea here is as an early shade and wind block for some of the plants we put in here. And so you can see the pigeon pea is kind of in a circle here. In the middle, I've got a breadfruit or an ulu tree planted. It's been in there for about 2 months, and it's just really happy. Nice and green, putting on new healthy growth. And so as the ulu tree gets bigger, we can kind of maintain the pigeon pea, cut it back. You could just leave the pigeon pea and let the ulu kind of outgrow it, but I find that if you do a little bit more management and you kind of just pay attention to what the trees need, you can sort of boost their growth early on. So in this phase, you can see the flowers on the pigeon pea, and we're just going to prune all the flowering heads back because they are already making seed pods. And so that means they're converting some of the nitrogen that they fix into the protein for the seed pods. And we want to use as much of that nitrogen as possible for the soil around the ulu, just to really focus on the ulu health. These are super easy to prune. They also can be really easily ripped apart to lay down for chop and drop, which is fantastic because some things are a little bit harder when it comes to pruning, and these really couldn't be easier. When I reach down in, this is some of the older pigeon pea and grass and stuff that was left in there. Just makes a really nice, there's a lot of moisture in this. Yeah, it keeps the soil shaded, helps the beneficial microbial life, the mycorrhizal fungi grow. All that is going to benefit the ulu tree. And you can be pretty careless, more or less, with the way you prune these. They're usually going to come back as long as they have adequate water. If you take them all the way to the ground, then you risk them not coming back. But you can play around with it, and as you can see, we've got multiple plants, so if we lose one or two, at least we'll still have some in this area to benefit the ulu. And as you'll be able to see, it's only going to take me a couple seconds or a couple minutes to really knock all this back, open up some more sunlight for the ulu tree, but still giving it a little bit of early morning shade and late afternoon shade. Just a little protection. Definitely some protection from the wind. And the pigeon pea will actually grow back really fast. I just pruned these less than 2 months ago to about, what you see now as I'm pruning them. So that's how much they grew in that time. It's also a little bit of a timing thing with pigeon pea because it does produce seed pods in the lower light hour months, so in the winter. And like we talked about, that means it's starting to convert a lot of its nitrogen. And so depending on when you plant yours, you may have to kind of basically make sure you have time to come in and prune it all back at that time of year. It's not the biggest deal if you let it go, but you won't be getting the most bang out of your buck with all that nitrogen. We're just suppressing it down, and we will come through soon, mow this grass. We can pile that up on top of that, which will ensure even more kind of damp fungal growth, break it down faster. So that is one of my favorite uses of pigeon pea. Okay, this will be our last stop as we talk about pigeon pea on this video. So here what I did was I cleared out, this was all pasture grass, guinea grass in our case, which is kind of annoying to maintain. It gets really tall, falls into the path, can't walk through it or anything. So the pigeon pea, much easier to maintain. I come through a couple times a year and just chop and drop all of it. However, this patch I will often leave to get some seeds. So this is kind of the perfect stage for seed saving or for dried beans. So this is kind of, I was going to focus on the edible component of the pigeon pea. These, as you can see, are kind of like a speckled pigeon pea, and there's different varieties you can find. One, it looks like we got maybe had 4 peas inside. A couple of them are bad. Well, we're left with 1 pea to talk about there. But you can cook them just like dried beans. You can cook them in the pods when they're green like this, kind of like an edamame. You can also just pop these green ones open and eat the fresh green beans like you would maybe like peas of any type. They have a great taste to them. These speckled variety are some of the better cooking beans, and I've stored these for over a year and cooked them, and they were great. I've stored them for over a year and kept them as seeds, and they were great. So yeah, just an all-around workhorse plant. Gives us quick shade, gives us lots of mulch. This gives me a little area down here to plant some olena or turmeric, which you can kind of see the remnants of here. It's winter time, so it's going dormant. But a very cool, very useful plant. I definitely recommend growing it. It's usually pretty easy to find some seeds online if you need to get started that way. It's pretty much only grown from seeds. No one really does cuttings of pigeon peas. Super easy to grow from seeds. So yeah, I recommend if you're not using it yet, or if you're not using it in some of these ways, that give it a try. We appreciate you watching, and we'll see you back here soon at Aina Bear Farm. Aloha.